First, before we gavel. Welcome, everybody. This is the May 27th, Tuesday, regular City Commission meeting. Would everyone please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Cambenzi. Commissioner Campana.
Here.
Commissioner Coyne.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds. Here. Commissioner Ryan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse.
Here.
Mayor Nemi.
Here. Commissioners, Commissioner Cambenzi is out of town on vacation. What is your pleasure? Commissioner Ryan?
A move should be excused from this meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse? It's been moved by Commissioner Ryan, second by Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse to excuse the absence of Commissioner Cambenzi. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. The motion is passed unanimously. Note of agenda changes. We do have a omission, an item we have to omit from the consent agenda, number 8I. That's base camp events, special event. That is going to be omitted. We won't re-letter the agenda, but we'll just omit that item. That'll be on our next meeting, I believe. Any additions to the agenda by any commissioners? Anything? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Commissioner Ryan?
Move the agenda be approved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Reynolds?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Ryan, second by Commissioner Reynolds to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. The motion is approved unanimously. Announcements. I have a couple announcements. One, there's an announcement from the City Clerk that for the upcoming primary election in August, absentee ballot applications are available in the City Clerk's office. So you can go out and go in and fill out an absentee ballot application or pick one up. Ballots will be available and arrive on June 21st, 2014, and will be mailed to all applicants who have filled out an application for an absentee ballot. So if you need an absentee ballot, you should get into the City Clerk's office. Another announcement, this is from the Fire Department. May 27th is Beach Awareness Week. Since 2010, 342 swimmers have drowned in the Great Lakes. To make your trip to the beach enjoyable and safe, consider the following. Swim only at lifeguarded beaches in the city of Marquette. That's South Beach, McCarty's Cove, and Tourist Park. Beach hours are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. Know your swimming capabilities and limitations. Never take your eyes off children in the water. Stay out of the water if alcohol has been consumed. On Marquette City beaches, we have warning flags. Beach and breakwater status can be viewed on the city's waterfront safety webpage at www.mqtcty.org and click on waterfront safety. Or you may go to the beach and you can see the warning flags. Please heed the warning given by the flag system. We also have a whole slew of openings on our volunteer committees and boards. I'm not going to read them all. They're available on the city website. Applications are available on the city website. As I've mentioned previously, it's a nice, convenient PDF application. You can fill it out online. You can mail it in. You can print it out and bring it in. Of note is we only have 4 members serving on our Harbor Advisory Committee. That is the minimum needed as a quorum for meetings. So we do need, we're kind of, it's kind of like the blood banks. We're putting out a call for members for the Harbor Advisory Committee because we need that in case someone is absent. We don't want them to be without a quorum and not be able to hold a meeting. So if you'd look at the website, we would appreciate citizens stepping up and serving on boards and commissions. Those are all the announcements I have. We have a presentation, and this is to the Marquette M-Bank Team 2014 Michigan Amateur Hockey Association Girls Recreational 19 and under state champions. Would the coaches, the players, and Supervisor Limita meet me at the podium up here? Let's see, Supervisor Limita from Marquette Township is here to present the certificates along with myself. Gary Walker has signed them from Chocolate Township. He was unable to attend tonight, so we'll stand in for him. Maybe if you could give them to him. This is for Rachel Livermore. And on deck is Faith Martin. On deck is Riley O'Connor. Hera Salo. Jillian Fry. Oh, okay. Libby Doney, or Donnie? Doney, okay. I had it right the first time. Thank you. Dana Paquette. Amanda Gray. Taylor Swagenin. Brooke Swagenin. And Coach Swagenin. Got almost the whole family here. Thank you. Coach Thomas Gray. Okay. We also would be feeding Shelby Gregory, Annie Boyer, Shay Blewett, Haley Peterson, Lexi Geidebeck, Mackenzie Masters, Coach Mike Martin, or Michael Martin, and Coach Brett Peterson, and Alexandra Paquette.
I think we got everybody.
Oh, okay. We just wanted to read those names off because they weren't able to join us tonight, but I think Detroit says they're Hockey City USA. I think Marquette is really Hockey City USA. This is the third girls team that we're feeding champions. I think we've got another one yet coming. Here's. Okay. Oh, that's fine, Haley. Let's see. It's in here somewhere. Yeah. As I was mentioning, this is they're state champions. We've had another girls team as state champions. Like I said, Marquette, Michigan really is Hockey City USA. We've got all these championship teams. The boys, Royals were champions for many years. The high school's been champions. I think they weren't quite this year, but they certainly competed, and we appreciate and we're proud of what you girls do. And this isn't just to see Marquette. This is the greater Marquette community, Marquette Township, Chocolate Township, and the city of Marquette, and as one big area, because I know you ladies are probably from all over the area, and it takes an area to stand up a team such as yours, and we appreciate it. And you want to say, Dennis?
State champions, wow. Girls hockey in Marquette, right? I mean,
Yeah.
This is incredible, and it shows not only Marquette hockey, but UP hockey, and we're proud of you guys. You brought home state championship to the area, and that's awesome. So, round of applause.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Thanks again.
Let's see. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a Police Fire Pension Board presentation by Chairman Steve Snowert.
Good evening. My name is Steve Snowart. I'm, besides being a member of the Marquette Police Department, I'm also the chairman of the Police Fire Pension Board. And here, once again, to give the presentation, although I see it's stated wrong. But is there two on here, Chris? That's the only one you got. Okay. We'll see how it goes. 1965, basically by a vote of the people of Marquette, we established a pension system for the fire and police departments in Marquette. We did it through Act 345 in the state of Michigan, which was established in 1937. It calls for the establishment, maintenance, and administration of the retirement system for the benefits of the fire and police department personnel and their families. The provisions of the Act provide for the retirement system is to be financed through member contribution and city contribution, and also through investments, obviously. Thanks. List of our members. I see this one is a little outdated, so I'll correct it as I go. I'm the chair. I've been on the board since 2002. Kurt Volger, who's a fireman, is our secretary. He's been on since 2011. Our positions on the board are we're elected by our union to represent the pension. Diane Giddens, who is the city treasurer, she is on the board basically by her position with the city. And then we have two members at large. Currently, these two members are no longer on the board, but we have Bill Tomey is a new member as of February, and we have a vacancy. We just lost a member because of term limits last month, so we have a vacancy. I guess I would ask that you say it's emergency for us too, because it always seems to be. But
Okay.
but we actually had we hold our meetings on the fourth Tuesday of every month. We actually had 11 meetings last year. We had one meeting that was canceled, and we did have one special meeting last year. We have 60 current members in the police fire pension, 34 for the police, 26 for the fire. Retired members are actually at 34 for the police and 25 for the fire, for a total of 59. And we have currently two deferred members, which are basically vested members. And basically that means that they had spent at least 10 years with one of the departments, either the police or the fire, and left prior to a full pension. So we have a total of 121. Our pension actually, as of the end of the first quarter of this year, is actually at $28 million. So it's up from the 2012. Our actuary evaluation report, basically last year, so the date ending 2012, we would have been 73% funded. We just got a preliminary from our actuarial firm who is working on our the actuarial study right now. Actually said that our evaluation is up to 75%. So actually we did increase over last year 2%. So we're probably up to about 75% now. We did sustain a 77.5% growth in 2012 and also again in 2013. So our fund has been growing. We were able to issue a 13 check for the second time in a row. We did one last year and we did another one this year. This year's was one of our largest ones that we've been able to issue to our retirees. It was about $30,000, which comes out to about an average of $600 for about, I think, 49 retirees that they got this year. One of our goals, obviously, is to continue to manage and operate the retirement system and ensure its viability for current and future retirees of the police and fire department. We have a fiduciary responsibility to maintain this fund, which is what we hope to do. Is one of our goals. We also this year and just approved a new question and answer booklet to be published to give to current members. In 2009 was the last time we updated this booklet, and basically gives our members an idea of the pension and try to understand the pension and retirement. There's been several changes in the tax law, changes in our assumptions that has made it that we felt necessary to issue a new question and answer book for our members. In 2012, a new law in Michigan, PA 347, it basically has had us provide new transparency rules for our investment advisor. Wells Fargo, who is our money manager, is in compliance with the new rules, and they disclosed the system's investment performance net of fees for the past 10 years. Also with that act, we as a board are required to post our summary annual report on our website, which we send to all members, including retirees, but now we also post it. We also have to provide, for the system's funded ratio, provide normal employer cost benefits, provide an average employee contribution, provide the assumed rate of investment and return, provide for the system's amortization period, and provide an actuarial assumption that we use. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, and I know that we had our board member, Kurt Vogel, mentioned it so last week. I think he had a presentation to the commission. One of the things that we struggle with, which I mentioned before, is the vacancies. It seems to be associated with the term limits. We've had, since I've been on the board for the last 12 years, I think 3 different times, we've lost our at-large members because of term limits, and then have struggled to fill those vacancies, even though those people were willing to stay but couldn't because of that term limit. So again, we put that as a priority of ours. We feel it's important. We only have a 5-member board, and when you lose 1 member, it becomes difficult to do the day-to-day business that we have to do. Any questions?
Commissioner Ryan?
Well, first of all, congratulations on making it through with obviously last year's presentation. Did a good job.
Thank you.
I know I'm sure it's not your fault. That maybe it's no one's fault.
Well, we'll blame Chris.
Just one, yeah, blame someone. But I think your point about the need for a full board. This board really controls the whole pension program, don't they?
Yes, it does.
Unlike other employees who are covered by a statewide pension program, this board is in charge of managing that $28 million.
Right. We have to manage the $28 million for the current employees and for the retired members too. So we have to look out for the retired members in any way we can, like with the 13 check and stuff, and to manage it for the current employees. So the Act 345 is kind of our guide on how we have to do that, but to have those 5 members is important to us.
And you do rely on a professional, as you pointed out, Wells Fargo in this case, to assist you in that process. But still, it's a huge responsibility for your board.
It is, and some of the members we look towards, our newest member, Bill Tomey, is an investor here in town, so he has some knowledge too, and it's important for him because obviously my background is in law enforcement. Kurt's is in fighting fires, and Diane counts the beans. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Commissioner Coyne?
Thank you. I have a request from you. Could you furnish us with the question and answer thing that you give your members so I need to be informed too.
Sure. Certainly.
How this works. The other question is, what limits do you have in terms of investments? The city's money has to be invested in bonds, basically, that are very low yielding. Do you have guidelines where you have a percentage where you can have percentage equity, percentage bonds, or is that your decision?
We're using a 60-40 right now.
Okay.
And there are limits of certain investments. We can only put a certain amount of money in certain things. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking real estate. I think it's like 5% we can only invest in there. So there are limits to what we can do. And we set a policy for our board and of what we plan on doing. And that's part of that 60-40 split into stocks and bonds. And we rely on Wells Fargo to make sure that we're there. We had a meeting this morning and we're almost on target because obviously with investing and making money here and there, it changes. But we are on track right now with our 60-40 split.
Okay, another question. Last year a 7% return was not stellar, frankly, with that amount of money. And does this board ever relook at their advisors in terms of every so often have people come in and make presentations to you that might do a better job? And I'm on a couple foundation boards, and some of them were 17%. Now, they may not have the restrictions quite as hard as you do, but some of them are 50-50, and they did better than 7%. Are you aware of comparable amounts of money in terms of that, and look at other advisors? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, we do. And we were at 7.5% last year, and that's our net. But we also have to pay out $1.6 million a year to retirees. So when we consider that we actually have made 7.5% and still we're able to pay out, I think it's $1.6 million to our retirees. That's not counted in there. So the 7% is the what we went up, considering we also had to pay out 1.6. But yes, we have gone out. In my tenure here, we've done it a few times. One in particular where we end up going with Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo gave us a presentation today. We're always looking at their fees. We've gone to a different system with them, which is hopefully going to cost us less in fees to Wells Fargo and still have the same type of a plan. So we're looking at always ways to, obviously, to make more money and to and we talk about, it's always been in our talk as far as making sure that we are investing the right way.
Well, thank you, because I guess what I'd like to know is actually what your return was, as opposed to I didn't understand the 7%. I thought that was your return on investment, which is not the case.
No.
So I wonder if you could furnish the commission with how much your fund actually performed in terms of percent.
Well, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other commissioners? Anything further? Well, thank you, Mr. Snowert. I think it was kind of nice to have a comparison to last year's, and right off the top of your head, you were able to update it with this year's figures. That was impressive, and we appreciate that. It's obvious you take your job seriously because you know your statistics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next presentation is a Bike-Friendly Community Award and sign presented by Mike Beck and Brad Newman. So.
Thank you. So just a prelude here for a moment. In 2010, Marquette became a League of American Bicyclists bronze-friendly, bike-friendly community. in recognition of the city's wide-ranging support of bicycling. Since that time, bicycling has gained in popularity in the Marquette area, and efforts to promote bicycling have continued to grow. The community support in developing the Arnor Heritage Trail, the NTN All Seasons Trail Network, the races and events, the fast-growing sport of snow biking, and Marquette's path system are widely valued as some of the cultural and recreational gems in our community. Over the last year and a half, a dedicated assembly of agencies, organizations, committee members, and city staff came together to submit Marquette's renewal application as a bike-friendly community. Through the dedicated efforts of Brad Newman, Carol Fulcher, myself, George Sedlacek, Sarah Anderson, Christina Bennett, Michael Larson, Nicole DeWald, City Staff Liaison John Swenson, other city staffers, and with the support of the City Commission, in the fall of 2013, the City of Marquette officially submitted a bike-friendly community renewal to the League. This last week, Marquette advanced and was recognized for achieving a silver-level bike-friendly community award from the League of American Bicyclists. Marquette is one of only 60 cities in the United States to achieve this level of achievement, and is only one of 3 in Michigan to receive a silver award. This puts Marquette in the company of the top 3 bicycling communities in the state, including Houghton and Ann Arbor. Marquette and its citizens can be proud in attaining this level of recognition.
Thanks. I just wanted to mention some of the aspects of what it means to be a bicycle-friendly community. You'll recall in a December 2013 presentation when Mike and I were here last before the commission, we mentioned the 5 E's as they're referred to. One of those is education, and it's something that our committee plans to continue working on in terms of educating cyclists and motorists in terms of rules of the road and what some of the opportunities are in the city. Another one of those E's is encouragement, and it's creating an environment where people feel comfortable getting out there and riding as a family or with friends. And that goes beyond just recreation, but for mobility in terms of getting around for commuting or studying or shopping. Another one of the E's is engineering. Of course, you've got to have some of the infrastructure in place to make cycling possible and also safe, and that by and large is thanks to the city that we have the engineering in place and heading in the direction to allow cycling to flourish for more people to get on their bikes. The 4th E is enforcement, and we thank the police department for helping in enforcing the rules of the road and to really also encourage cyclists when they are behaving appropriately, like kids wearing helmets and things like that. And then the last E is evaluation. And so one thing that our committee will be charged with and that we will look to the city again in the future for is to see how we've progressed over the years, because this award is for a period of 3 years, just like the previous bronze award that the city was granted. And so this is a continual process. And so on behalf of the Bikeability Committee, I would ask the Commission and the city for a partnership in moving forward in terms of pushing those 5 E's even further to make Marquette an even better place to bicycle. And so, Mike?
So our community's support for bicycling continues to grow. Our benefits to the residents diverse and many. Bicycling plays a part in Marquette, making it a premier destination, a great place to live, and a city we can all be proud of. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mayor Nemi and the City Commission to accept the award and our sign on behalf of the achievements that led to our Silver Bike Friendly Award designation. So thank you. And thank you, everybody, for the support of bicycling in the community.
On behalf of the community, I'm pleased to accept this award. Certainly, we as a city try to do all we can for bicycling, but we can't do it alone. And it's here's just 2 examples of a much larger group that is enabling the city to do this. And it's not just city government; it's the whole community, and that's who's getting the award. It's just the name of the city's on there, but it's a greater community than just Marquette. So thank you very much. We appreciate your assistance. And maybe next time we'll go for the gold. Thank you. Yep. Okay, our next presentation is Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund Land Acquisition Project, Clark Lambros Beach Park, by owner Michelle Butler and consultant Bill Sanders. Welcome.
Thank you for having us here tonight. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about the history. There are some new commissioners, and just kind of give a brief overview. I'm sure you know many things, but basically in December of 2012, Clark Lambros passed away. But prior to his passing, as a family, we'd had a discussion of looking at making a donation to the city to create a park in memory of his son, Clark Lambros Jr. Hence, with Clark's passing and with his blessing and his hope, we as a family decided that we wanted to continue down this road of creating the Clark Lambros Beach Park. I came to the city with a presentation in February requesting that we would be able to do this, and the original plan in our minds was, well, let's just go to the city and say, here's some property. But other people have better minds than myself in this area, and Bill Sanders said, I think that there would be a better way that we could do this if you really want to create this park. And so he said that we should write a grant for the DNR Trust Fund land acquisition, and we could acquire the property that way. The DNR Trust Fund would purchase the property, then we in turn the city would have the property. But we didn't want to take the money. Our goal was, once this would happen, we would take the money and we would invest in building the park. So the city gave their approval for Bill to write the grant. We paid for the grant process, and Carl Zuger and I went down to Mackinac City and presented in front of the trust fund in June, and were very pleasantly surprised. They actually had me repeat the plan twice because they weren't quite sure they were hearing what I was saying was really what was going to happen. So having said that, what the plan is that the DNR Trust Fund will be purchasing the land to create the park for the city. We, the family, are supplying the 26% match, or approximately $500,000, so there's absolutely no expense to the city. Then once the sale of the park becomes complete, we will take those funds and we are going to build the park, the Clark Lambros Beach Park. And we're very cognizant of some of the concerns that were brought up over time, and also with the DNR Trust Fund. And one of those was that we weren't pulling all of this property off the tax rolls. So as we present our presentation, there is a holdout parcel of property that is going to be left for future development, and that will lend itself to a tax base which will continue to help the city. And we were very happy to be able to do that, and the DNR Trust Fund also felt that we shouldn't take all of the property off the tax rolls. So what I'm going to do right now is let Bill, well, it's kind of going to be in tandem, if that's okay. And we're not going to go forever, trust me. Okay, well, this is the proposed park. And as you can see, you have Lakeshore Boulevard. We have a beach house and parking on the right-hand side of Lakeshore Boulevard. And then we have parking and a kayak launch on the left-hand side. I want to address, first of all, the right-hand side of the project, which is the beach house, parking, and universal access down to the beach. The footprint for the beach house pavilion bathhouse is approximately 60 feet. And what that houses is 2 restrooms, a family restroom. There'll be a pavilion covered with picnic tables. There will be outside showers. The reason why it would be located on this side of the road is for, well, several. One, safety. You have small children. You want to get them down to the beach. Also for those individuals that may have disabilities, that they can park on that side and have the universal access to literally be able to go down to Lake Superior. Convenience of use is also another reason why that's being proposed in that manner. The other side of the road is where we would have some parking and a universal kayak launch. And once again, all of this is geared around how this can be a park that's for everybody in the community, not just some of us, but all of us. The building itself will be public. It will be under the city guidance of how they handle their current bathhouses and restrooms in their local parks. All of the project is going to be contingent upon how the funds come in from the DNR Trust Fund. Our goal is to prioritize, and as we spend the funds down, but with the budget we have, and if the appraisals come as we're anticipating, we should be able to accomplish quite a bit. But our long-term family goal, and my personal goal too, is that we are going to establish an endowment, because we want to make sure that this park goes on in perpetuity, that this is a legacy that doesn't go away. And that's something that, you know, I still have quite a few years left that I think I can help make that happen. There are other partners in the project to help bring these elements to fruition, and we're working with them very carefully. I'm going to let them make their own announcements. I think that that's only appropriate. I want to say, and I would be very remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to thank Bill Sanders and Ken Chatsky, because they've been phenomenal. Not only are they helping us create the family legacy for the Clark-Lambros Beach Park, but they're creating their own legacies, because they are the best stewards that this town can literally have for looking after what is really good for habitat and what's good for the community. And city staff, I'd like to thank you too, because you've been great in helping us work through this project. I mean, when I came before you a little over a year ago, I was pretty much a mess. I feel much better now, and we're very excited about this project. So I'm going to let Bill talk a little bit more about it, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Michelle. This is where we're going to jump around a little bit. Like Michelle said, there are a lot of moving parts on what we're doing here, and a lot of different partners, and there are still some things that we hope to bring before you in a more solid manner. And one of those is we're negotiating for some additional property that would allow us to take that Hawley Street drain that goes right straight out to Lake Superior now and move it to travel north and work it into the wetlands along the Dead River. Does two things. It takes all of the things that you find in stormwater that come out on a beach, which, you know, impacts water quality. It would resolve that. It would resolve any future crossing of that drain as part of some of your other Lakeshore Boulevard plans. And from an ecological standpoint, it provides a more reliable source of water into the wetlands as a nourishment element in the face of, you know, it doesn't look like it right now, but I mean long-term declining Great Lakes water levels. The other thing it does, and we were lucky enough to be part of some of your riparian buffer work a number of years ago, and it'll allow us to expand the width of the riparian buffer along the Dead River, which really makes a lot of sense, you know, as some of the potential future industrial use on the lots to the south. So jumping around a little bit more, the other thing is you'll notice that we're showing a trail from the rail grade, cuts through what's called Lot 7, along the Dead River, weaves down, goes out the old trolley car rail route, and crosses behind Labani Park and makes its way to the bike path. And the point of that trail is that any kid playing soccer at the soccer fields can get out to the Island store and not cross the road. So some of those kind of things we're hoping we're going to be able to weave in as well. As far as several things, you know, Michelle charged us with. One, that this park is safe. Another is that it's universally accessible and that it's sustainable, especially from the city's standpoint and long-term care. You know, we're not so much talking about sustainability in construction as we are sustainability with long-term maintenance. So the materials, all those sorts of things are looking to that. To the point where the parking spaces are wider than normal. Functionally, they're all accessible, ADA accessible. There's extra depth, so when you're taking your lawn chairs and the coolers and you got 3 kids running around your legs, you got some space to the traffic. This is the accessible kayak launch, and I don't know if many people have seen these things. It's a kind of a Michigan product from what I understand, and but they're really unique because the platform in the middle in the upper left photo, it actually has a telescoping transfer bench, so someone in a wheelchair can transfer onto that, and then it slides out so that they can drop down into the cockpit on the kayak and then roll out, and the rails go way out into the water so you can pull yourself back up on the rails. So that'll be something pretty nice for the community. This slide is just sort of a depiction of what the elevation is. The bathroom pod is sort of invisible because it's brought interior to the roof structure. So the columns are outside the bathroom structure, and that's what gives the canopy space for shade and picnic tables and so on. And then there's also a landscape wall, which in the upper photo is on the left-hand side, and that really kind of controls beach access. It controls that to address erosion and impact on the vegetation, but it also arrests sand blowing back towards the pavilion, so maintenance is made easier that way. That's all I have. These are just a couple of views from parts of the project. And Michelle?
Yeah, just 2 more comments I think that are appropriate. We've heard 2 presentations, the mayor addressed the safety of the lakes, and I think it's very, very prudent to note that this is probably one of the safer beaches that we're going to have available for access. And secondly, we had our biking community talk about how we're a silver community, and with connecting all of these trails to the Noki and everything else, we could potentially be, bumped up to gold in 3 years. Who knows? But we're here, and if there's any questions. And thank you very much for your continued support.
Commissioners, are there any questions? Commissioner Campana?
You have a boat launch on the west side of the road?
Yes, where the Dead River is.
Okay. Are they able to access Lake Superior?
Yes.
You can't, okay, you just hook around and come out?
Yeah, it goes out and then under.
And can you go up okay. I'm not familiar with it, so, but you can get out to the lake and you can go up the river actually then. Okay, so it's lot of opportunities. Good, thank you.
Anything else, Commissioners? Commissioner Ryan?
So based on your experience so far, you're fairly confident that the dollars will be adequate to do everything you hope to do?
Well, we're hoping. I mean, we're going to spend them as far as we can. And, I guess what will happen will be, once we get the final appraisals back in, we're working very carefully with the DNR. We're trying to work through these things in tandem. And once we know, we can start.
Can you explain that process a little more?
Sure. Basically, the process is a very long, drawn-out process where once the commission, when you approve, hopefully tonight, then you sign the grant. It goes back down to Lansing. They review it, take their time. Then they send us out on more work, which is a 40-year title search, due diligence on the property environmentally, and also then the 2 independent appraisals on the value of the property. We're approaching this in good faith, and we've already commissioned the 40-year title search, and we've already commissioned the Coleman Engineering is doing the due diligence on the property itself. The DNR has given their blessing on this. We're working with the city on this, and once we get the rest of the process and directions, we'll start with the appraisal. I mean, our sincere hope is to be able to start something late summer so that we can make a dedication and keep it going. And I think with Bill's calculations and the ability as private entity to build this park and the people that we know that are in the trades that support what we're doing, I think that we can make it happen. That's our goal. We're going to do the best we can with it.
Well, it continues to sound like a great project, so
thank you.
Hopefully all the pieces fall in place.
It is a puzzle, and I've learned a lot.
Commissioner Coyne?
Michelle, well, thank you very much for the history of this. I was not clear on that, and it raises a question. Is the park going to be Clark Lambros Junior Park or Clark?
It's going to be the Clark Lambros Beach Park, and then there'll be a little thing underneath, Clark Lambros Junior and Senior.
Okay. Another, I probably could ask this at the next thing we're going to talk about with you. You own that whole property, including the beach,
Yes.
right down to the water.
Yes.
So objections to putting something on the beach there really is your decision, rather than somebody saying you can't do that belongs to the city. It does not belong to the city right now.
No, it doesn't. It belongs
Okay. To you.
to me.
Okay. Thank you. Really appreciate the innovative thinking and,
That's been a
yeah,
combination, but thank you.
okay, yeah.
Comments? Hearing none, thank you very much for the presentation. Okay, the next item is boards and committees. Item number 5 is recognition of outgoing member. Actually, the member isn't outgoing. Well, she is outgoing, but she's not leaving. Chloe Wilkinson has another year of high school, and she will be able to serve as an ex officio member on our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board one more year. She's completed 1 year, and we're going to recognize her for that, but we'll recognize her at the end of her tenure. The next item is appointments. We have proposed appointment of Tim McIntosh to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board as a Marquette Junior Hockey representative. Commissioners, what is your pleasure with this item? Commissioner Ryan?
I move we approve the appointment of Tim McIntosh to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board as the Marquette Junior Hockey representative.
Okay. Is there a second? Commissioner Coyne? It's been moved by Commissioner Ryan, seconded by Commissioner Coyne to appoint Tim McIntosh to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board as the Marquette Junior Hockey representative. Anything further, Commissioner Ryan?
No, he has a long-time relationship with hockey for certain, so it's a good
Anything
thing.
further, Commissioner Coyne? No. Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. The item is approved unanimously. The next item is reappointments. We have Dave Otis to the Traffic Parking Advisory Committee for a term ending May 30th, 2017, and Ann Stark to the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee for a term ending June 1, 2017. What is your pleasure with these two appointments, Commissioners? Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse?
I move to appoint David Otis to the Traffic Parking Advisory Committee for a term ending 5/30/17, and to appoint Ann Stark, Arts and Culture Advisory Committee for a term ending 6/01/17.
Okay, is there a second to that? Commissioner Reynolds?
Second.
Okay, anything further, Commissioner Stonehouse?
Only again that we thank them for volunteering and helping the city.
Thank you. Commissioner Reynolds, anything further?
Nothing further.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Stonehouse, seconded by Commissioner Reynolds to appoint Dave Otis and Ann Stark to their respective committees for their respective terms. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. The motion is passed unanimously. We now come to the public comments section of the meeting. Comments may not exceed 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and physical address when making public comments, and please use the lectern in front of the commission. Anyone desiring to address the commission? Yes.
Hi, my name is Terry Lynn Walker. I think I know some of you. My address is 345 Alger Street. And my husband and I own a taco truck, and we are interested in seeing about changing some of the zoning ordinances in order to make food trucks a little bit more accessible in the city. We've done some research on different ordinances in the area that would be beneficial to both the trucks and also to local businesses, so that we don't want to step on any feet of any restaurants or anything of that sort. So we found that the city of Kalamazoo has a really good one that's beneficial to the trucks, to the restaurants, and also bringing some funds into the city. So I have a copy of that available, but I'm just hoping that I can be directed in the right direction on that. And I think that's about it, unless anybody has a question.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Anyone else wishing to address the commission?
Hi, Sue Hewitt, 701 West Magnetic. And the only reason we're here tonight is within the last week, several of my neighbors and myself have heard a rumor that MGH is going to put a helicopter port right out across the street from our house. And I was wondering if any of you heard those rumors, since hospital people are the ones that gave us the information.
City Manager, I guess, is there a helipad going in at MGH?
We spoke with folks on Magnetic because we've heard the same rumor, and we're expecting at this point to hear from Marquette General. We've asked for clarification, so hopefully we'll be able to get that information out as soon as we receive it.
Okay.
Well, even if the information comes, if it's false, that rumor, those rumors, that's great. If it's not false, just off the top of my head this afternoon, I came up with at least 10 or 11 ridiculously simple reasons why it shouldn't be there. And I'm sure you could think of those same reasons. Just picture one 100 feet from your home. My husband and I have watched the helicopter land, the medical helicopter, which we're not against, but put it in a place where, you know, it's not endangering a whole residential area. But we've watched the helicopter land with our grandkids, whom we babysit every week, down by the arena. And when it's landing, there are at least 2 fire trucks there and several police cars. And if it isn't a danger, why are those things there? And not only that, if you took a rope from, I live on the corner of 7th and Magnetic, and so does Margaret, and so does Joni. We're all retired, okay? And we have enough problems with the traffic going there since the road was punched through to the highway, much less all the traffic going through in a helicopter right there. Anyway, we're against it. And if it does come up to a yes, let me tell you, we'll be back. Because like I said, if you put a rope from that middle of that, by the stoplight, stretch her down maybe 9 blocks, down to Washington, it's going to swing way over to 3rd Street, it's going to go right through Northern, it's going to go over to Magnetic, and it's going to go through the cemetery. Can you imagine that thing hovering over the cemetery and the damage that would be done there? Much less what happens if something horrendous happens. We're not against having that medical medvac helicopter. My brother 10 years ago was taken out, not on the helicopter, but he was brought by ambulance out to the airport and shipped down to Ann Arbor. And so we know the value of having that sort of a thing. But don't put it in the middle of a residential area. And like I said, there's a lot of houses in that area, and if I have to, I'll be knocking on every one of those doors. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else desiring to?
Hi, I'm Bob Hewitt, and I also reside at 701 West Magnetic, and I have for the last 24 and a half years. And I didn't know what Sue was going to say tonight, but a little bit of history. Over the years that we've lived there, I've seen the neighborhood change dramatically, in part due to Marquette General Hospital, of course, purchasing homes, increased traffic, and of course we understand the growth and necessity for growth. But also we've had to deal with a number of things that aren't the most appealing. For one thing, a few years ago they made an addition to the hospital, placed a huge air changing system on top of the thing. It does have baffles on it, but if you have your windows open at night, it sounds like a jet airplane running. The increased traffic, as Sue mentioned, 7th Street being open has increased it even more. However, just the amount of employees that the hospital has made a change in that. Of course, we have the Northern Michigan University students when they're here, and they seem to love that route. We also have issues like the ambulance going by 10, 12 times a day, and we've grown accustomed to that, so that's not too awful, but, imagine that siren going off every few minutes or every once or twice an hour maybe. And In the wintertime, we've experienced the interesting impact of snow removal from their parking lots with the beep, beep, beep of backup alarms on end loaders and trucks, and the truck tailgate slamming at 1 o'clock in the morning and things like that. And of course, we also realize that the hospital is talking about leaving the area, or leaving that particular our area. Certainly wouldn't break my heart if it did. We had a very nice residential neighborhood at one time, and it has gone downhill. I'm concerned about a lot of things. I won't go on any further, but certainly, property value being one, neighbors leaving being another. It's a very busy intersection, and I'm sure Chief Angeli could tell you about the number of accidents that occur at the corner of 7th and Magnetic, and also 7th and College. It's really multiplied significantly in the last 10 years or less. So I'm just here tonight, and I know most of you were unaware of this. Again, what we know is what you know, basically. But scares the heck out of me, the thought of that being, as Sue said, 100 feet from our door, in Margaret's door, even closer. And so I urge you to find out what you can about it, and certainly I would hope that you would not be in favor of something like that in what we still consider a residential neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. Anyone else desiring to address the commission?
Frank Jaffardo, 350 East Ridge, Marquette. These are my opinions. We've heard much about the condemned marina office, but not the crumbling building on the southeast corner of 3rd and Bluff, where there's no caution tape or warning signs. A ton of brick facade could come crashing down near the heart of downtown, no less. Except as noted May 14th, I sympathize with your reasoning on the haul route, but not your failure to stand up for what's right. You indirectly legitimize the mine's numerous alleged discharge violations. Regardless of law, the mine goes in at all costs, step by step. Isn't that the way it works in the third world? You bet it is. And Stonehouse hopes this paves the way for more exploitation. After asking you in the rowing club 10 times why the current Skull site isn't workable, Compenzi wrote that the site lacks space. Why not consider building into the hillside barely south of the current site? Build under the trail if not part of the road, and extend a deck yet closer to the beach. New Yorkers built a 104-story building while thousands of people passed beneath. Maybe there isn't space here, but don't ignore the suggestion. If it's so doable at the wooded site, evaluate the hill near the current spot, closer to parking and infrastructure. May 14th, Stonehouse chastised Compenzi, quote, "It's inconceivable to make the statement we are 100% behind the rowing club without making the next statement, which is we think they should be here. If you can't come up with a viable solution for a group that has to be on calm water, on the harbor, then you simply cannot say no. You need to provide an alternate location that meets all their definable objectives." Fred ignores the suggestions he's heard, and his logic is absurd, as are several of you who keep repeating that they need a spot on the water. You act like we expect them to carry those heavy sculls 3 miles through town. Please stop wasting our time. Exert your efforts on a solution like you ought to have to begin with to avoid the needless dissension you've caused. A May 22nd article on your boathouse meeting quoted Campana saying, "As one vote of 7, his family's involvement with the club is not an issue. There is no conflict of interest," Dave said. How can this not be a conflict of interest? Even Vita bowed out, but not Dave, and Dave's the one with a vote. He's quoted as saying just what he wants heard without addressing what an eyesore the approved site would pose from the beach. When my name appears on the same petition as the mayor's named on May 14th, we all know that you messed up. Sounds like another one of your no-brainers, as 2 residents described your haul route decision. You'd best forget about saving face and look harder for a better boathouse site. The wooded site is ill-suited from a nature standpoint as well as from historical aspects, adjacent to Gaines Rock and the gorgeous beach where our founders first landed. And you seek to put essentially a garage there? I mean, that's a real no-brainer, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Barreto. Anyone else wishing to address the commission? Anyone else wishing to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting, and we will move forward to the consent agenda. Commissioners, what is your pleasure with the consent agenda? Commissioner Ryan?
I move the consent agenda be approved with the elimination of item 8A as you listed earlier.
8I.
8I, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Commissioner Campana?
I second that.
Okay. Commissioner Ryan, anything further?
No.
Commissioner Campana, anything further?
No.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Ryan, seconded by Commissioner Campana, to approve consent agenda items H through L with the exception of item I, which has been removed. All in favor say yes.
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 Anyone opposed say no. The motion passes unanimously. The next item, unfinished business, is the upset lease. City Clerk, is there some background that you'd like to read on this, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Background. The Marquette City Police Department, MPD, has been a member of the Upper Peninsula Substance Enforcement Team, UPSET, since its inception over 25 years ago. UPSET is a multi-jurisdictional street narcotics team that covers the following counties: Alger, Baraga, Delta, Dickinson, Gogebic, Houghton, Iron, Keweenaw, Marquette, Menominee, Ontonagon, and Schoolcraft. Participating agencies include Delta County Sheriff's Department, Escanaba Public Safety Department, Marquette City Police Department, Marquette County Sheriff's Department, and the Michigan State Police, as well as several federal agencies. Because UPSET has no direct line of funding and is wholly supported by the participating agencies, along with grants and other indirect revenues, meeting annual expense has become dangerously difficult. Compounding that fact is that the current UPSET facility, located in a vacant building at K.I. Sawyer, is in very poor condition, in need of significant repair, and close to being deemed uninhabitable. Because of this situation, the UPSET Board of Directors recently voted to split the team into 2 units, with one in Escanaba and the other in Marquette. Through research and discussions with city staff, the preferred location in Marquette was identified in the lower level of City Hall. This mostly non-utilized space, room 102, as well as space currently occupied by the Information Technology Department and staff break room, both of which will be relocated. The primary motivation behind this effort is to lower legacy costs that are plaguing the team and to place them on a better path to sustainability. However, the move will also directly bolster the law enforcement efforts of MPD with our community. For these reasons, a reduced rate, approximately 47%, is being requested, much of which will be returned as in-kind services. The proposed lease agreement was introduced at the Commission's May 12, 2014 meeting. Fiscal effect: the City will realize monthly revenue in the amount of $750 for the life of the contract. In addition, the City will realize in-kind law enforcement services valued at approximately $25,000 annually. Recommendation: approve the lease agreement with UPSET and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement. Alternatives as determined by the Commission.
Thank you, City Clerk. Commissioners, it would be appropriate, this is the second meeting that this lease is undertaken, would be appropriate for a motion to approve it. Commissioner Ryan?
I move we approve the lease agreement with UPSET and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement.
Commissioner Coyne? Support. Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Ryan, seconded by Commissioner Coyne, to approve the UPSET lease agreement and authorize the execution of it. Anything further, Commissioner Ryan?
Yes, we've long supported this program, and it makes a major contribution not just to our community but to the region. And I think being part of a solution for them to come up with some quarters where they can headquarter part of their program in conjunction with us here at the Marquette City Hall is a really kind of a win-win situation. Not kind of, but it is. It certainly is good for their organization, but it also brings additional law enforcement into our community as well, and I think that's a real positive development, and certainly want to commend our city staff for helping to make this happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Anything further, Commissioner Coyne?
Yes, I'd like to ask Chief Angeli, what other agencies are going to be there making up UPSET?
The agencies of law enforcement, at least local or state level, the Michigan State Police, Marquette County Sheriff's Department, Menominee City Police, Escanaba Public Safety, and the Delta County Sheriff's Department. We have several federal agencies that will be accompanying them as well that serve to enhance their efforts. The federal agencies let's see, DEA, ATF, Customs and Border Patrol, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Department of Homeland Security, and the possibility of a National Guard as well.
That's an impressive group that we're having join us in the City Hall.
It is. It's unique in that, you know, these agencies tend to look for a location where they fit, and historically or traditionally UPSET has been that way. And the federal agencies tend to enhance their effort very much. And we are a great resource for the federal agencies as well, because they come here in such small numbers and they don't have the resources or the facilities to do their normal work. So,
well, I think it'll enhance their mission and also help the city police department. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you. I do plan on using them when I can.
Thank you. Anything further? Any other commissioners? Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse?
Boy, anytime that we can build that kind of synergy in, it's just fantastic. And I really commend city administration, not only the chief of police, but also the city manager for putting that package together, because all of our citizens are going to gain from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further, anyone? Hearing none, I'd call the question. It was moved by Commissioner Ryan, supported by Commissioner Coyne, to approve the upset lease and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. All in favor say yes.
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 Anyone opposed say no. The motion is passed unanimously. The next item is Mountain Tank. Yes.
At your pleasure, would you mind moving up item number 12? There's no one here for the tank and the natural resource thing, just out of courtesy to the folks
Okay,
there.
thank you for that. Yes, we'll undertake item number 12, the Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund Land Acquisition Project Agreement. City Clerk, would you read the background for that, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Background. At the February 11th, 2013 City Commission meeting, Ms. Michelle Butler offered to donate land adjacent to Lake Superior and the Dead River to the city for the purpose of developing a public park. At its March 25th, 2014 meeting, the City Commission authorized staff to submit a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund land acquisition grant. In December, the Department of Natural Resources Department informed the city that it had approved the application. Recently, the city received a land acquisition project agreement. The grant agreement totals 74% as a reimbursement of the total eligible costs, not to exceed $1,440,000. Grant proceeds are solely for the acquisition of the subject parcels. And the term of the grant is 2 years from the date of issuance. Upon approval of the agreement, the city will be authorized to proceed with the 40-year title search and environmental due diligence as the first steps towards acquisition. Once completed, the department will authorize conducting 2 certified appraisals to determine market value. Prior to proceeding to closing on the property, the department requires approval of the appraised market value. Approvals will take 60 to 90 days for review. The acquisition is included in the fiscal year 2013-14 capital improvement budget. It is intended that the environmental due diligence, appraisal local match, or $506,000, and closing costs will be funded by the seller as a donation. Further, all public improvements to establish the park, including a beach restroom facility, an associated parking access infrastructure to Lake Superior, and a non-motorized boat launch and associated parking access infrastructure to the Dead River, will also be funded by the seller. Any dollars remaining from the property sale after funding public improvements will be placed in an endowment fund to be used for future repair and maintenance of said improvements. When receiving department grant proceeds, the city is obligated to maintain the park for public purposes. As the parcel is over 5 acres, the city is further obligated to deliver to the department a deed conveying a perpetual, non-participating 1/6 interest in all mineral rights acquired by the city. Any future fees associated with the use of this proposed park will require prior approval of the department, with the proceeds only to cover costs of operating, maintaining, or developing the premises. Non-resident fees shall not exceed twice that charged to residents. Fiscal effect, none with this action. Required local match not to exceed $506,000 will be donated by the seller. Recommendation, approve the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Land Acquisition Project Agreement totaling an amount not to exceed $1,440,000 to purchase land for the purposes of establishing a public park, authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement and resolution, and proceed with the 40-year title search and environmental due diligence as required in the agreement. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Thank you, City Clerk. Commissioner Coyne.
Your Honor, I move that we approve the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Land Acquisition Project Agreement totaling an amount not to exceed $1.440 million to purchase land for the purpose of establishing a public park, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement and resolution and proceed with a 40-year title search and environmental due diligence as required in the agreement.
Thank you, Commissioner Coyne. Is there a second for the motion? Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse.
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Coyne, anything further?
I really don't have anything further than what we discussed and had presented to us. I think it was very clear how this works and what's going to happen. I've heard only one minor criticism, and that's we have enough parks, but anyone, I think, with any sense would realize this is a spectacular piece of land. It completes the wonderful beaches we have, and will be an asset to the city. And I think the important thing is that there's a plan, as we have worried about with acquiring things, to help maintain them over the years. And I think that's a great agreement, and it's, I think, very well thought out by both the donor and the administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coyne. Commissioner Stonehouse, anything further on the item?
I would only add that this is very obviously a remarkable opportunity for the city and a remarkable gift from the family, and I think that it's just really indicative of, in many ways, Marquette. I think how people come together to make the city better, to keep the city moving forward. It really is just spectacular, and I'm very happy to be able to support it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse. Commissioner Ryan?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to think about the fact that Michelle mentioned that she considered simply giving the land to the city and came up with a better idea. If it were not for this better idea, this would not be happening. The fact is, as wonderful an opportunity as this is, the city just does not have the money to go out and build a new park, especially a park that's going to be as outstanding as this is. This would not be happening without this plan, because there are many opportunities that come our way. We're looking at some pretty serious financial issues facing us as we go forward. We've gone through a tough winter, but there's a lot more to it than that. We have some other issues on the horizon. So it's really, this is really such a wonderful way for it to happen, because we're not only getting the land, we're getting a park that's already built, and hopefully a few bucks to keep it maintained as well. So that's really outstanding.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Anything further from any commissioners? Commissioner Coyne?
I think not to be overlooked is, if this were just a gift, it would generate no taxes, but this is a gift that has a plan in it that would be developable and then taxable, and also further help the dilemmas we're going to be facing in the next few years. So I think that's an important aspect of it too, as well as spectacular beach.
Thank you, Commissioner Coyne. Anything further? I guess I'd just weigh in. I think it certainly is an outstanding opportunity for the city to obtain that 1,000 feet of waterfront is a real benefit to the city. And during our strategic planning sessions, the fire chief opined that perhaps we would guard this beach and maybe reduce guarding at one of the other beaches, and because certainly this, I think, will be a very attractive site for swimming. Anything further from any commissioners? Commissioner Coyne?
Well, I have to respond. I'm less than enthusiastic about reducing other beaches. I think that needs to be planned very heavily, and also needs to be put in the maintenance of this new park. I'm not sure I want to be around when we start talking, well, we're going to close this beach and we're going to close that beach. I'm going to be leading the charge not to do that, okay, right up front. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from any commissioners? Okay, hearing none. It's been moved by Commissioner Coyne, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse to approve the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund Land Acquisition Project agreement totaling an amount not to exceed $1.44 million to purchase land for the purposes of establishing a public park. Authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement and resolution. Continue to proceed with the 40-year life title search and environmental due diligence. All in favor say yes.
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 Anyone opposed say no. The motion is passed unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll go back to item number 10, the Mountain Street Tank repaint and repairs. City Clerk, do you have anything further?
Thank
Or
you,
do have
sir.
some background?
Background?
Yep.
In 2010, Liquid Engineering completed a wet dive inspection of the mountain tank. Analysis of the video and written report show beginning signs of coating deterioration, leading to the determination that interior and exterior tank coatings in the mountain tank are in need of repair and repainting. Required safety improvements are also identified. Water storage tank coatings generally have a 12 to 15-year life expectancy. Mountain tank was last coated in 1997, so the coatings are approaching 17 years old. Dixon Engineering was hired to prepare specifications and bidding documents for repainting the interior and exterior of the mountain tank and make several miscellaneous safety improvements. The bids were advertised and directly sent to pre-qualified potential bidders. Bids were received at City Hall and opened on May 6, 2014. Copies of the bids were forwarded to Dixon Engineering for review and recommendation. City staff reviewed the Dixon Engineering recommendation and concurs with the recommendation to award the bid to Fedwa, Inc. The project is currently on schedule for using Drinking Water State Revolving Fund funding. Fiscal effect. A total of $460,000 was allocated in the fiscal year 13-14 Water Fund budget for completion of the mountain tank project. The project is being funded through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. Recommendation, award a contract for the mountain tank repaint and miscellaneous repairs to Fedwa, Inc. of Nashville, Michigan, in the amount of $233,600 at the unit prices bid, and contingent upon receiving final approval from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, adopt the resolution regarding the project, and authorize the clerk to sign the resolution. Alternatives as determined by the Commission.
Thank you, City Clerk. Commissioners, what is your pleasure with this item? Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse?
I will motion to award a contract for the mountain tank repaint and miscellaneous repairs to Fedwa, Inc. of Nashville, Michigan, in the amount of $233,600 at the prices bid, and contingent upon receiving final approval from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, adopt the resolution regarding the project, and authorize the clerk to sign the resolution.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse. Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Ryan?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Commissioner Stonehouse, anything further?
Only that, Marquette really does have some very, very high-quality drinking water. We work very hard to maintain that standard. We have tremendous plants and people working for us to achieve that. And unfortunately, there's a cost to it. And this is part of the maintenance cost of maintaining that high water quality. And I'm happy at least that we're able to use the revolving fund to help finance it.
Thank you. Commissioner Ryan, anything further?
I did want to ask a question of staff. I noticed a broad disparity in the bidding from the low bid to the high bid, more than double. We've used a consultant, so I assume we're confident in the bidder that we're making the award to.
Yeah, very confident. In fact, Dixon Engineering, they specialize in this type of engineering. Painting tanks is a very specialized field. All the bidders were pre-qualified, so we made sure that we wanted to make sure whoever did bid on this had the expertise to do it. And additionally, the low bidder actually came up from downstate, attended the pre-bid meeting, and walked the tank, and they're very comfortable with their cost.
Just for the benefit of those watching, the bid is $233,600. We had bids as high as $548,000, $461,000, $422,000. But then there were a couple others that were down in the lower range as well. So that gives you an extra feeling of confidence. And we had budgeted $460,000 for this project. So,
yeah, if I could add one thing, there's a couple other components that will be coming back to the commission as a separate project: security fencing, and putting some cameras up there, and construction engineering. So those recommendations will be forthcoming. So there will be a little bit additional cost to this project.
this is clearly a piece of equipment you don't let deteriorate, that you
That's correct.
keep it up, right?
Commissioner Coyne?
I'd like to ask Mr. Goodwin a question. Has anybody invented a tank that you don't have to paint and spend, $300,000 every 17 years to paint it? You don't know?
Titanium or something?
Well, plastic or whatever. I mean, you have to have a tank that has to be
I
painted?
think all tanks do need maintenance of one
Okay.
form or another.
Thank you.
City Attorney, this is a resolution. If it's unanimous, do we need to do a roll call?
Not if it's unanimous, but I do have one very picky little item. It's a grammatical thing.
Okay.
This contract is contingent upon receiving final approval from the department. It's not and contingent, because if you read it the way it's written, it will look like those are separate clauses, but this contract is contingent upon it, just as the resolution reads that you'll
Yes.
be signing.
Very good point. Thank you. Anything further from any commissioners? Okay, it has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse, seconded by Commissioner Ryan, to award a contract for the mountain tank repaint and miscellaneous repairs to Fedowa, Inc. of Nashville, Michigan, in the amount of $233,600 at the unit prices bid, contingent upon receiving final approval from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, and adopt the resolution regarding the project. Authorize the clerk to sign the resolution. All commissioners in favor of this motion, please say yes.
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 Any commissioners opposed, say no. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving, the last action item is number 11, Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Development Project Agreement. City Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. Background, at its March 25th, 2013 meeting, the City Commission approved submitting a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Development Project Grant to construct 3 permanent restrooms facilities at Harlow, Presque Isle, and Williams Parks. In December 2013, staff received correspondence from the Department of Natural Resources indicating the application was approved. Recently, the city received a trust fund development project agreement. The agreement provides 74% as a reimbursement of the total expense eligible costs not to exceed $296,000. Grant proceeds are solely for the design and construction of the 3 restroom facilities. The local match totals 26%, or $104,000, as an obligation of the general fund. The 3 restrooms are included in the fiscal year 2013-14 capital improvement budget. Upon approval of the agreement, the city will be authorized to proceed with obtaining a prime professional to design and develop bid documents. Staff anticipates the facilities will be bid and constructed summer 2015. The term of the grant is 2 years from the date of issuance. The grant requires the city to maintain the facilities for public purposes. Any fees associated with the use of the proposed facilities will require prior approval of the MDNR and can only be used to cover costs of operating, maintaining, or developing the premises. Non-resident fees cannot exceed twice that charged to residents. Fiscal effect. Required local match of $104,000 will be the obligation of the general fund. Recommendation, approve the agreement in an amount not to exceed $296,000 to construct 3 permanent restroom facilities at Harlow, Presque Isle, and Williams Park, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement and resolution. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Thank you, City Clerk. Commissioners, what is your pleasure with this item? Commissioner Campana?
A couple questions. First question.
Your Honor, I would move we suspend the rules for discussion.
Okay. Okay. Do we really need to vote on that, or?
Is there a consensus on that?
There's a consensus. They all voted yes. They haven't voted no tonight, so why should they change their mind? Go ahead, Commissioner Campana.
I'm all in favor of 3 bathrooms at those areas. I think they're well needed. First question, at Williams Park, where is it going to be located? Where will they be located?
The plan, thank you for the question. The plan is to put it adjacent to the tennis courts. And there's basketball courts, and then it'll be adjacent to the courts.
Where the present basketball court is right now?
Yeah, but we'll maintain the basketball courts, so they'll remain. It'll be adjacent.
But you won't tear up the tennis courts?
Correct. No, we will not tear up the tennis courts.
Good, thank you. Something about fees. Resident fees, non-resident fees. What are fees to use it? What is that?
That's if there are any fees at any time. Non-resident fees cannot exceed twice that charge a resident. Certainly, we don't charge people to use bathrooms yet.
Okay.
That's required in the contract with the state.
Yeah, it's $400,000 for 3 of them. It's going to be nice.
Big bathrooms.
Yeah. Seems like a lot, but I'm all for it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anything further, Commissioners? Commissioner Ryan?
I move we approve the agreement in an amount not to exceed $296,000 to construct 3 permanent restroom facilities at Harlow, Presque Isle, and Williams Park, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement and resolution.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a second for the motion? Commissioner Reynolds?
Second.
Commissioner Ryan, anything further on?
I'm very much in favor of this. You know, I think these are things you need at these parks, and really commend staff for going out and looking for these grants. That's the way it was presented to the commission during budget time leading into this year, and we were able to get grants to do this now, and we budgeted for the local match. I think in the case of Presque Isle, we're replacing a restroom. In the case of Harlow, we've had porta potties, you know, and so that will be a pleasant addition. And I'm not recalling it. Is there anything now at Williams Park? I don't. Just a porta potty, right? So they all have some degree of maintenance with them, and this is just really creating some permanent facilities to enhance our parks, and I think that's a good thing.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan.
Especially if you need one.
Yes. Commissioner Reynolds?
Nothing further. Commissioner Ryan specified exactly what I would have said.
Okay. Anything further from any commissioners? I agree, Commissioner Ryan put it succinctly, and I would lend also my appreciation to staff for getting this 3-to-1. Certainly, we can't lose. It's a boon to our capital program. All in favor of the motion? Well, it's been moved by Commissioner Ryan, seconded by Commissioner Reynolds to approve the agreement in an amount not to exceed $296,000 to construct 3 permanent restroom facilities at Harlow, Presque Isle, and Williams Parks, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement and resolution. All in favor, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. The motion is approved unanimously. That completes the business portion of our agenda. We are now at comments from the commission. We'll start with Commissioner Campana.
I'm just want to say that I'm excited to see Clark Park be built and completed. I think when it's done, it's going to be a very, very attractive place and be an area that'll be enjoyed by many people for generations to come. So hope to see that. It's just a priceless piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Campana. Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse.
Boy, it's great to see summer, kind of. I mean, this is really fantastic. I look forward to a season when we don't have ice on the lake. But we'll.
I hope you're patient.
The question for the city manager, though, can you give us an upbrief on the Cinder Pond Marina and where we are with that project?
Yes, sir. We're on the original schedule that we submitted to the commission earlier as part of the emergency recovery. So tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, for anybody who's interested, if you'd like to see the old building come down, that's the time to be there. The show begins at 8. Of course, we'll ask people to stand back so that they aren't hit by any debris, and we're going to have people down there keeping the area secure and safe for folks who want to watch. We're hopeful then that even as we start trying to get the choreography of the boats to be placed back in the slips going, that we can manage that along with the charging of the fuel stations, the maintenance of the potable water systems, and all of that with construction underway, temporarily at least, to replace and move that infrastructure. It's going to take a little bit longer to plan out what the replacement building's going to look like. We want to do that right, and you're going to be hearing more from the Harbor Advisory Committee later in June. A little bit is follow-up discussion of the strategic planning about the overall marina plans for the city and the waterfront. And hopefully they'll bring some ideas there that the commission will see speak to all of the interest in making sure we're providing diverse opportunities both for boating, sailing, human-powered paddle sports, and everything else that folks like to do out of that marina. So, good news story, but I know the big thing everybody's wondering about is when is the building going to get knocked down. So tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, and please be careful when you're down there watching.
Thank you, City Manager. Anything further, Mayor Pro Tem Stonehouse?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Reynolds?
My only comment is with regard to Terry from Dias de los Tacos, and just that I would lend my support, and I would be interested in looking at an ordinance such as Kalamazoo's, and I'm going to do my own research with regard to that, because I do believe that taco trucks, food trucks in general, are the wave of the future. I think in Marquette we are going to continually to see more of these pop up, and I think the ordinance as written is kind of not looking forward to the future with food trucks, especially with them winning the best new taco poll for Northern Michigan and the UP as of recent. So not just them in general, but I know that there's more coming, so I would be interested in looking at an ordinance that would allow for restaurants and food trucks to live harmoniously. And that is all.
Thank you, Commissioner Reynolds. Commissioner Ryan?
Yeah, I would support that thought. I was going to mention it myself, and also the fact that, again, tonight we had a couple of situations where people were here presenting information to us and maybe or maybe not understanding that we're not able to discuss the issues with them at that point. And the fact that we apparently turned deaf ear doesn't mean we're really turning deaf ear. It means that's kind of the way the system works. But I do think it's something worth looking at. It is, as the Commissioner pointed out, kind of a wave of the future. We want to do what's right by our local restaurants who invest a lot of money, but this is also something that adds innovation and something different to our community as well, so that's a good thing. Same with the folks on the helicopter pad who left. I guess I'd ask the manager, if that were to happen, how would that happen? What would be the process that would allow that to happen? Who decides?
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Actually, I can share, I've had a lot of outreach from that neighborhood. It was my old paper route when I was 10 years old. I think I know everybody who's been living there within the last 50 years. And I know there's a lot of concern there. And I shared with them, at this point, anything that might be happening with the city, and we're in the process of figuring out exactly what MGH believes they have submitted or discussed with us. It's really just staff evaluation. That's how the process would start. So if they're interested in doing something like that, it's a check on all the zoning, it's a check on all the permitting, it's a review of their plans to look at all of the environmental impacts. And so a lot of the concerns that the residents we're speaking to would come out in that process of evaluation. And then depending on what it is they might be looking to do, that could be an administrative approval. It, more likely than not, would be something that would end up having to go through a planning commission or a zoning commission if there are changes that need to be made to the area or impacts that would have to be reviewed and recommended to the city commission. And then ultimately it would be something that would be scheduled, no doubt, as minimally a one-step commission review process and approval. So at this point, like I said, I haven't heard anything yet. And so acting on that rumor, we've been reaching out to the hospital to try to figure out exactly what it is that they're looking to do. But there are minimally one more public process, more likely than not 2 or 3 more public processes before anything would be decided, and whether for pro or for con. And so residents will have a maximum amount of opportunity to have input. And for the ones who've spoken with me directly, I've invited them to stay in contact, and I'll keep them informed. And many of them reminded me that they used to give me my turkey dollars at Christmas for signing up for the Sunday newspaper. So they have a good rapport with the city manager's office, and I expect that they'll be very vocal in making sure we understand exactly what it is they're looking for.
I think the main thing is that people don't have to be concerned they go to bed tonight and tomorrow a helicopter is going to be landing.
No, certainly not.
The street, you know?
Yeah, no, certainly not. Nothing like that. And a lot of that we assuage just with the dialogue. They're concerned, like anybody would be, with something that they view as negative potentially happening in their neighborhood. And they understand all the issues and the balance, and so we'll keep them informed and keep in the dialogue. But it's nothing that's going to happen overnight, and it's nothing that won't happen without another opportunity for the commission to share their views and to decide what it is that we're going to do.
I'd also like to, again, congratulate Chief Angeli and the manager for the ability to work out this arrangement with Upset. You know, we see it as something that's going to work to our advantage. It's a good program. It's an important service that's provided. But I think it, again, adds to the professionalism of what happens to our city as far as law enforcement goes. And still, those little things are important, too. And I think probably most of us heard the story of the Lucky Ducks over the weekend. And I think it's just worth mentioning that a Marquette police officer first came to the rescue when asked by someone who was playing tennis, and then some Public Works Department people came to the rescue, and as a result, 12 baby chicks were rescued from a drain. And I talked to the mother duck, and she was really pleased. She was really no. Daisy was her name, actually. No, but you know, it's not a big thing. It's not a big thing. But again, it just speaks so much to Marquette, you know, and the heart of who we are and what we do, you know, and it's important. And I commend the officer and the Public Works people for coming to the rescue and sending out a message that Marquette's a place that cares, not just about ducks, but we care. You look kind of quacked up about this. I don't know.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Commissioner Coyne?
I'm trying to compose myself after Don talking with the duck, Daisy. Daisy, was it? Okay. All right. On a similarly light note, the demolition of the Cinder Pond Marina, is it going to be like a big explosion, or is just an excavator going to knock it over?
I honestly don't have any insight, but I would suspect it'll be more pushed over and knocked over than exploded.
I'm going to jump on the taco truck thing, too. I think it probably would behoove us to have a work session on it to involve the taco truck owners, future taco truck owners, restaurant people, so we'd avoid coming to a meeting with one side of the room taco truck and one side of the room restaurants and just get into a big fight again. And I think it would behoove us to do that and do some preparatory work beforehand and not have just a decision come before us with an ordinance and then get everybody mad. So I think that would be a reasonable thing to think about and to consider. I also have concerns about the helicopter, and the city manager, you're very good at finding other cities who have had similar problems, and I'm sure there are other cities in Michigan that have had incidences where neighborhoods don't want a helicopter landing in their next door neighbor's yard, and I think maybe that would help also to do some looking into that for us before this becomes an issue, if it is an issue, ever.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely.
And finally, just a comment on the boards and commissions. Every meeting we have lots of vacancies, and just for the public's clarification, now if you're on a board and commission, you are allowed to serve on more than one at a time, and that's helpful because some people have an interest in one thing and an interest in another, and they weren't able to do that. And also, just in the future, we've had endless discussions from our strategic plan sessions about how frustrating it is to lose valuable people because of term limits. I personally am in favor of term limits for commissioners, but I think people who serve on boards and commissions ought to be able to at least have longer terms or be able to be on there for longer periods of time. And the problem with that is that the charter says very specifically words to how they can serve. And in order to change that, we would have to amend the charter, and that would have to be voted on by the people. Is that not correct? So it's not just a simple thing to do, but I think it's a valuable thing to do, and I think we down the road should consider that. I do not know, and I don't want to put you on the spot, that how long you can amend it has to take place, how long the charter has to be in place before you can amend it. And I don't remember what
I don't recall either. It might be a couple of years, but I'm not positive of that. But
and I would hope that when we get to the point where we can do it, we discuss it and see what the Commission's will is for that, as well as have public input, too, as to that. They may not want that, but I think that's something to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coyne. I guess I would echo and support the concept of food trucks. If you to put it into perspective, last fall when we were in Detroit at the MML conference, there was a luncheon that we were served with about 8 food trucks. Detroit's got about 725,000 people, so that's about 90,000 per food truck. We've got 21,000 people, and we've got 1 food truck, so 2 food trucks. So we've got per capita, we've got a much higher incidence of food trucks in the city. So I think it's something we need to look at. The helipad, I think it's a lesson that treat your paper carrier right now, because you don't know whether he may be city manager tomorrow. But tongue in cheek, I think the city manager would help regardless of how he was treated as a paper carrier. But I appreciate his concern, and I think our residents can be comforted by that. We're not going to just foist in a helipad, and if we do it, we'll address the concerns that the residents have, because it's certainly, as it was stated, when they land at the arena, we have numerous fire trucks there for eventualities, and there's always that possibility. So I have nothing further. City Manager, do you have some office hours you might want to announce, or anything else?
Thank you, Your Honor. Maybe not office hours, but I would like to thank this commission as the 8th one I've had a chance to spend time with today. And thank you personally. For the rest of the commission's edification, we had a visit today from the Sandy Knoll second grade elementary school students. And so we had 85 elementary school students come through with their teachers and some very tired-looking chaperones. And we convened elections 7 times and seated 7 commissions. And I'm here proudly to announce that everybody demands more A's. There's not enough ice cream included with lunch, and they need to have fewer school days and shorter ones. I told them we'd get right on it. So we'll keep you informed. And just again, thank you for all of your support this evening. Every once in a while, it's fun to see the faces that we might be seeing 30 or 40 years from now. So again, always good to take care of your paper carriers wherever you might meet them.
One thing telling about the future generations is we've got very sensible second graders in this town, because the city manager was positing the concern about him not getting A's. One of the students says, "You need to study more." So we've got very capable second graders in this city. So thank you. With that, we're adjourned.